He had everything money could buy. She had nothing but her pride. One stolen moment in a dark hallway changed both their lives forever. But when his world discovered their secret, she vanished without a trace. Let me tell you a story about two people who were never supposed to meet. A story about a man who had everything money could buy, and a woman who had nothing but her dignity. His name was Jonathan Reed, 32 years old, owner of one of the biggest tech companies in New York City. He lived in a penthouse that touched the clouds, wore suits that cost more than most people's cars, and had a smile that could close million-dollar deals. But if you looked closely into his eyes, you'd see something missing. Something empty. Success had given him everything except the one thing that mattered. Peace. Her name was Lily Torres. 24 years old, fresh off the bus from a small town in Arizona. She came to the big city with one suitcase, $50 in her pocket, and a heart full of hope. She needed work. Her little brother back home needed surgery, and the bills were piling up faster than prayers could move them. When she got the job as a housekeeper in Jonathan's penthouse, she thought God had finally answered. She had no idea her life was about to change forever. The first time they met, it wasn't romantic at all. Jonathan came home late one Thursday night, tired and angry from a business deal that went wrong. He found Lily in the hallway, mopping the marble floors at midnight because she wanted everything perfect. He barely looked at her, just nodded and walked past like she was part of the furniture. That's how it was in his world. Staff were invisible. Necessary, but invisible. Lily didn't mind. She was used to being overlooked. What mattered was the paycheck at the end of the month. What mattered was her brother getting better. So she cleaned his floors, organized his shelves, and stayed out of his way. But then came the night that changed everything. Jonathan's flight got canceled. He came home 6 hours early, exhausted and wanting nothing but silence. As he walked toward his bedroom, he heard something. Soft music playing. A light glowing under the guest room door. He frowned. Nobody was supposed to be in that room. He pushed the door open quietly. And there she was. Lily stood in front of the mirror wearing a beautiful emerald green dress. It shimmered under the soft lamplight, hugging her in all the right places. Her dark hair fell in waves down her back. She was humming to herself, adjusting the neckline, completely lost in her own little world. She looked like a dream, like something out of a movie he'd forgotten he wanted to watch. His heart did something strange in his chest, something it hadn't done in years. "What are you doing?" His voice came out harsher than he meant it to. Lily spun around, her eyes wide with shock. The dress swirled around her legs. "Mr. Reed, I didn't know you were back." Clearly. He tried to look angry, but his eyes betrayed him. They kept drifting back to how beautiful she looked. "Why are you wearing that?" "I'm so sorry." Her voice trembled. "I found it in the donation pile. I thought it was something you were giving away. I was going to wash it and return it. I shouldn't have tried it on. I'm so sorry." He wanted to yell. He wanted to tell her she had no right. But the words died in his throat because all he could think was how the expensive women he dated never looked half as stunning as this girl in a borrowed dress. Just take it off and get back to work," he muttered, turning away before his face showed too much. After he left, Lily cried in that room. Not because he was angry, but because for one moment, wearing that dress, she had felt like somebody. And his voice had reminded her that she wasn't. She was just the help. From that night on, everything became awkward. Lily avoided him like he was fire. Jonathan found himself looking for her in every room, even though he told himself he wasn't. When she served him breakfast, he'd watch how gently she placed the plate down. When she watered the plants by the window, he'd notice how the sunlight made her skin glow. It was driving him crazy. He tried to focus on work, on conference calls and quarterly reports. But his mind kept wandering back to her. To the way she smiled at the doorman. To the way she hummed while she cleaned. To the sadness he sometimes caught in her eyes when she thought nobody was watching. Then his mother called. "Jonathan, I'm coming over for dinner tomorrow night," she announced. His mother, Patricia Reed, was a force of nature. Steel wrapped in pearls. "Mom, I'm busy." "You're always busy. I want to meet this new housekeeper of yours. The one who answered the phone last week. She sounded lovely." "She's just staff, Mom." "Then it won't be a problem if she joins us for dinner." Jonathan rubbed his temples. "Fine. Whatever you want." The next evening, the penthouse was transformed. Candles everywhere. Classical music playing softly. The chef prepared a 5-course meal. And Lily was panicking in her small room off the kitchen. Jonathan knocked on her door. "You're dining with us tonight." She opened the door a crack, her eyes huge. "Sir, I can't. My mother insists. I'm having something sent to your room. Just don't make this weird." 20 minutes later, a designer dress arrived. Deep navy blue, elegant but modest. When Lily put it on, she barely recognized herself in the mirror. She walked into the dining room with her heart hammering. Jonathan looked up. For a moment, everything stopped. She was breathtaking. Not because of the dress, but because of the grace in how she carried herself. The quiet dignity in her eyes. His mother, Patricia, lit up. "Oh, you're beautiful. Come, sit next to me. Tell me about yourself." Dinner was supposed to be torture. But it wasn't. Lily spoke softly about her hometown, about her brother, about her dreams. Patricia loved her immediately. And Jonathan. Jonathan couldn't stop staring. He saw her differently now. Not as the girl who cleaned his floors, but as a woman. A woman with depth and warmth and a smile that made his chest ache. After his mother left, they stood alone in the hallway. "Thank you," he said quietly. You were perfect tonight. I hope I didn't embarrass you, sir." "You didn't." "And Lily?" He waited until she looked at him. "You looked beautiful." Her cheeks flushed pink. "It was just the dress." "No," he said, his voice dropping. "It wasn't." The air between them felt electric. Heavy, like something was about to break. But Jonathan walked away before he could do something stupid. Like touch her. Like kiss her. Like tell her that he hadn't been able to think straight since the moment he saw her in that green dress. The next day, he tried to bury himself in work again. Conference calls. Meetings. Emails. Anything to stop thinking about her. But at lunch, he overheard his assistant on the phone. "No, nothing's going on with the housekeeper," Jonathan snapped into his phone. "She just served dinner. That's it. Stop making up stories." In the hallway outside his office, Lily froze. She'd only come to drop off some documents. But she heard every word. Her heart cracked right down the middle. She felt so stupid. For one moment, she'd thought maybe she mattered to him. But she was wrong. She was just the housekeeper. Nothing more. That night, she cried into her pillow. Not because she loved him, but because she'd started to believe she could. The next morning, she went back to work with a blank face and a heavy heart. She avoided Jonathan completely. He noticed. It bothered him more than it should have. But he didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to fix what he'd broken. Then came the storm. It rolled in fast and furious. Thunder shook the windows. Lightning split the sky. The power went out, plunging the penthouse into darkness. Most of the staff had gone home early. Only Jonathan and Lily remained. He found her in the kitchen, sitting on the floor with her knees pulled to her chest, flinching at every crash of thunder. "You okay?" he asked softly. She jumped. "I'm fine. Just scared of storms." He sat down on the floor across from her. They didn't speak for a while. Just listened to the rain hammering against the glass. "I didn't mean what I said," Jonathan finally whispered. "On the phone. I didn't mean it." Lily looked at him, her eyes glistening in the candlelight. "You don't have to explain." "Yes, I do." He moved closer. "Because it wasn't true." "Then what is the truth?" He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "The truth is, I can't stop thinking about you. And it scares me." "Don't," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't confuse me. Don't make me hope for something that can't happen." "I'm not confused, Lily." And then he kissed her. Soft at first. Gentle. But when she kissed him back, everything exploded. Her hands gripped his shirt. His arms wrapped around her waist. The storm outside roared, but it was nothing compared to the storm inside them. When they pulled apart, they were both breathless. Scared. Lost. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have." But Lily was already running from the room, tears streaming down her face. What had they done? If you're feeling this story in your heart right now, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us share more powerful stories like this one with people who need to hear them. Thank you for being here. Now let's continue. Jonathan didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. Felt her lips on his. Remembered the way she'd trembled in his arms. He'd crossed every line he'd ever drawn. And the worst part? He wanted to cross it again. The next morning, he found her in the hallway folding towels. "Lily, please. We need to talk." "There's nothing to say, Mr. Reed." She wouldn't look at him. "There's everything to say." She tried to walk past him. He caught her wrist gently. That kiss wasn't a mistake. Yes, it was. Her voice cracked. You're my boss. I'm your housekeeper. That's all this can ever be. It didn't feel like nothing to me. It has to be nothing, she whispered, pulling her hand away. Because I can't lose this job. And you'll wake up one day and realize I'm not worth the trouble. She walked away, leaving him standing there, heartbreaking in ways he didn't know were possible. By lunchtime, whispers had started. The other staff had seen them in the hallway. They'd noticed the way Jonathan looked at Lily. The way she avoided him. Rumors spread like wildfire. That evening, his ex-girlfriend showed up unannounced. Victoria Stone. Tall, blonde, wealthy, and cruel. She swept into the penthouse like she owned it, her designer heels clicking on the marble. Jonathan, darling. She kissed his cheek. Then her eyes landed on Lily, who was carrying fresh flowers to the dining room. And who is this? She's the housekeeper, Jonathan said quickly. Too quickly. Victoria's smile turned sharp. How quaint. From that day forward, Victoria made Lily's life hell. She'd show up for dinner, for lunch, for drinks. And every time, she had something cruel to say. Careful with those glasses, dear. They cost more than your monthly salary. Jonathan, remember when we used to have sophisticated staff? This place is becoming so common. Lily took it all. Every insult. Every look. Every moment of humiliation. But what hurt most was that Jonathan said nothing. He never defended her. Never told Victoria to stop. He just sat there, silent, watching it happen. One night, after Victoria left in her expensive car, Lily found Jonathan in his study. You let her treat me like dirt, she said, her voice shaking with anger and pain. She's just trying to get a reaction. Ignore her. But you let her. I'm not your toy, Jonathan. I'm not something you kiss in the dark and then pretend doesn't exist in the light. He looked at her, torn between guilt and confusion. I didn't mean to hurt you. You don't have to mean it. You just do. She turned and walked away. This time, she didn't stop. By morning, she was gone. The letter was short and simple. Thank you for the opportunity, but I can no longer work here. Please keep my last paycheck. Consider it payment for the dress I wore. Lily. Jonathan read it 5 times. His heart sank deeper each time. He searched the entire penthouse, but she'd taken her small bag and disappeared. No goodbye. No forwarding address. Just gone. He told himself it was for the best. That she was just a temporary distraction. That he'd forget her in a week. But days passed and he couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus. The penthouse felt like a tomb. Every room reminded him of her. The way she'd smile while watering the plants. The way she'd hum while she worked. The way she'd made him feel alive for the first time in years. For the first time in his life, Jonathan Reed felt powerless. Not because of money or business, but because he'd lost the only thing that mattered. He sent people to look for her. Her hometown. The employment agencies. Hospitals. Shelters. Nothing. She'd vanished. Then, 3 weeks later, his doorman mentioned something. Hey, Mr. Reed. I think I saw your old housekeeper. Working at a diner in Brooklyn. She looked tired. Jonathan didn't wait. He got in his car and drove to Brooklyn himself. The diner was small and crowded, smelling of coffee and fried food. And there, behind the counter, was Lily. She looked exhausted. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes had lost some of their light. But to him, she was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Lily. She turned. Their eyes met. The world stopped. What are you doing here? She whispered. I came for you. You shouldn't have. I had to. She led him outside into the alley. The city buzzed around them, but they only saw each other. You need to leave, she said, trying to be strong. I can't. Why? Because your ego can't handle rejection. No, he said softly. Because my heart can't handle being without you. Tears filled her eyes. I'm not like the women in your world, Jonathan. I don't wear diamonds. I don't go to fancy parties. I come from nothing. I know, he said, taking her hands. And that's exactly why I can't forget you. You let them humiliate me. You denied me. You made me feel like I was nothing. I know. His voice broke. And I've hated myself every day for it. I was scared. Scared of what people would think. Scared of what loving you would mean for my perfect, controlled life. But none of that matters anymore. Because a life without you isn't worth living. She shook her head, crying now. How do I know you won't hurt me again? You don't, he said honestly. But I promise to spend every day proving I've changed. I don't want you as my housekeeper. I don't want you hidden away. I want you in my life, publicly, proudly, completely. And if I say no, then I'll wait. I'll come back every day until you believe me. She looked into his eyes and saw the truth there. Saw the man he'd become. The man who'd driven across the city in the middle of the night just to find her. The man who was willing to risk everything for love. Okay, she whispered. Okay, Jonathan. I believe you. He pulled her into his arms and kissed her. Right there in that dirty alley, with trash cans and graffiti around them. And it was the most perfect kiss of his life. 2 months later, the tabloids exploded with photos. Jonathan Reed, tech billionaire, walking hand in hand with a waitress from Brooklyn. Society women were shocked. His business partners raised eyebrows. But Jonathan didn't care. He took Lily to fancy restaurants and introduced her as the woman he loved. He brought her to business dinners and held her hand under the table. He made sure everyone knew that she wasn't a secret. She was his future. One evening, he took her to the rooftop of his penthouse. The sun was setting over New York City, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Candles flickered all around them. I have something for you, he said. If it's another dress, I'm leaving, she joked. He laughed. Then he got down on one knee. Lily's breath caught in her throat. He opened a small velvet box, revealing a simple, perfect diamond ring. I don't have fancy speeches, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I just have the truth. You walked into my life as a housekeeper, but you left it as the woman who changed everything. Marry me, Lily. Not because you need me, but because I need you. Tears streamed down her face. Yes, she sobbed. Yes, Jonathan. 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto her finger and stood, pulling her into his arms. They kissed as the sun set behind them, two souls who'd found each other against all odds. 6 months later, they got married in a small ceremony. Nothing fancy, just their closest friends and family. Lily's little brother was the ring bearer, healthy and smiling thanks to the surgery Jonathan had paid for. Patricia Reed cried happy tears. And when Jonathan and Lily said, I do, everyone in that room knew they were witnessing real love. Because this wasn't a fairy tale about a prince saving a princess. This was a story about two broken people who found each other in the darkness. About a man who learned that money means nothing without love. About a woman who taught him that true wealth is measured in kindness, dignity, and the courage to be vulnerable. As they danced at their reception, Lily whispered in his ear, Do you ever regret it? Choosing me? Jonathan pulled back and looked at her, his eyes shining. Lily, you're the only thing I've ever chosen that was right. You're my home. And as they swayed together under the stars, surrounded by love and laughter, they both knew one thing for certain. Sometimes the best love stories begin in the most unexpected places. Sometimes the person who changes your life forever is the one you almost missed. And sometimes, just sometimes, love really does conquer all. Remember, love doesn't see bank accounts. It sees hearts. And when two hearts find each other, nothing else matters. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear how this story made you feel. Hit that like button so this message of love and dignity can reach more people around the world. See you in the next story.